Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown. This is a show that is everything Broncos and sports topics related. I am your host, Bronco Bill. Guys, I'm going to be very, very heavily weighted on last night's Monday night overtime loss again. Back-to-back weeks that the Broncos have gone to overtime and they've lost. And I'm going to go into it in detail as well as some other things that I've noted and pointed out. So let's get started. Here we go. Broncos lose to Chargers in overtime. And this was a very winnable game. And I'll get into some of the breakdowns of the details. There were 10 penalties on the Broncos for 151 total yards. That averages out to 15 yards a penalty. Pass interferences, there were 4 of them called on Mathis. I know he's a rookie. I know he's filling in for Darby, who's out for the season with a torn ACL. But holy smokes. And yes, some of them, the referees, it's kind of ticky-tack. And it could have gone either way or no call. But they decided to call it. 4 pass interference penalties. You know, the Chargers had almost, I should say, the Broncos gave the Chargers almost as many yards in penalties as the Chargers had in total offense. That's insane. That is insane. And this is the second time the Broncos, or actually, I take it back, the third time the Broncos have actually had 10 penalties or more. They had 10 against Seattle. They had 11 against San Francisco. And now they had 10 again last night against the Chargers. There's no excuse for this. There's no reason for this other than lack of discipline. Total lack of discipline. Nathaniel Hackett doesn't have control of this team. If he did, these things would not be happening. And I go back to the Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. The reason why I bring his name up is because that's who I really wanted. I wanted O'Connell. I just felt like he was a better fit for what the Broncos wanted to do. And then come to find out today, am I reading some of these things that come out in the sports news? Nathaniel Hackett wasn't the play caller in Green Bay. He was the quarterback's coach, much like Clint Kubiak is to Russell Wilson. Not the play caller in Green Bay? Maybe he called some, but he wasn't the primary caller. Starting to all make sense now. Why these plays are so out there and crazy and doesn't make sense. If that's truly the case, then why isn't Nathaniel Hackett allowing the offensive coordinator to do the play calling? Otherwise, why is he there? We have Clint Kubiak to be the quarterback coach, so we know he's not the quarterback coach. So why do we have an offensive coordinator if Nathaniel Hackett's the one's calling the plays? The pathetic plays. I mean, it's almost like he's drawing in the sand. Okay, you go here, and then you go here, and I'll pass it down. No, what the heck? 3rd and 1. They throw the ball. 4th and 1. They don't go for it. And when they do, they're not running the ball. They're not making plays that will be successful. There was a couple of screens last night that went for negative yards. I mean, there was a wide receiver screen to KJ Hamler. And it's like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And he gets tackled because the block was missed by Dulwich. I think it was Dulwich or somebody out there. Beck or somebody missed a block. And Hamler was crushed for a 3-yard loss. Plays that go backwards. Penalties that either go backwards or give the Chargers first downs with pass interference. Or hold. There's a lot of holding penalties the Chargers made. There's also some, but the bigger mistakes was the Broncos making the mistakes. Denver got an interception. They got an interception of a deflected ball. Couldn't come away with anything. Couldn't manufacture anything out of that. We punted, I believe it was 5 or 6 times we punted. Yeah, we got a touchdown. Oh, that was a beautiful play, too. Russell Wilson to a wide open Dulwich on the right sideline, and he goes in untouched. The closest guy to him wasn't until Dulwich got to the 3-yard line going in. And even then, he didn't touch him. Just maybe grazed him on the shoulder like this. He went by. Broncos had a chance. The Broncos led 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. The Chargers were reeling. They were on their heels. And I don't know what happened, but halfway through the second quarter, things changed. Denver couldn't move the ball. They couldn't muster first downs. They couldn't keep drives sustained. And the defense was forced to be back on the field for a very lengthy time. And yes, they were a bend but don't break team. They only gave up 1 touchdown, but they gave up 4 field goals. And we'll get to all of that in a minute. So it was 10-0. Then it was 10-3, I believe, or 10-7. Then it was 10-10. Then Denver went ahead 13-10. Then it's tied 13-13. Denver goes ahead 16-13. And it's tied at 16. We go to overtime. I don't know if Denver won the toss. I'm assuming the Denver Broncos won the toss because they took the ball in overtime. That's where I came unglued. On the live show of the neighborhood that Madungus Creevy and myself were on last night. In case you guys missed it, please tune into the MHRT Network. Go to YouTube, type in MHRT Network, and look for the neighborhood with a Broncos player and a Charger player on the front, and go back and watch that and watch the emotion and the ups and downs that we were going through, and the camaraderie and the bantering back and forth and just the fun stuff. It was a very, very fun, great night to do that live. So guys, go check that out. Really appreciate it. Going back to what I was saying though in that, I was frustrated when I realized we were taking the ball in overtime. And I know there were comments in the live chat that say, no, you got to take the ball. Whenever you win the toss, you got to take the ball. My answer to that is emphatically no. And I will tell you why. It is not very often that a team in overtime wins the coin toss, takes the ball, and goes right down the field for the winning touchdown. That's the only way the game can end without both teams being able to possess the ball. In this format we have now. It may change down the road, but that's the way it is now. Therefore, my thinking is this, and hear me out, guys. Hear me out, and really listen to what I'm saying. If Denver would have deferred and kicked off, they would have forced the Chargers to go all the way down the field for the winning touchdown. They had not done that but one time all night, and that was early in the second quarter. There is no way, in my opinion, the way the Bronco defense is playing or was playing last night and has been playing all season so far through 6 games, it was no doubt in my mind that Denver was not going to allow a touchdown. Not going to allow a touchdown, period. That would have forced the Chargers to do one of 2 things. Kick a field goal and force Denver to kick a field goal to tie. And remember, the Chargers field goal kicker, his left leg or his planting leg or his kick leg, I'm not sure which one. He's only got 2, so it's one of them. He had pulled a muscle or a strain or something. So he wasn't 100%. So I figured there wasn't going to be a long field goal kick. And even if he does make it, Denver could win it with a touchdown or tie it with a field goal and have next points win. Safety, field goal, or touchdown. Nope. Denver takes the ball, quickly goes 3 and out. And in overtime, regular season, it's only 10 minutes, not 15. So it went back and forth a couple of times, and nobody attempted a field goal during that span. And here comes a changing moment. Here comes the changing moment. The Chargers punted. The Broncos forced the Chargers to punt. It was like 2.5 minutes left to go in the game, I believe, in overtime. Chargers had to punt. Denver is back receiving about the 22 yard line, something like that. Raises his arm, calls a fair catch. Okay. The Charger player pushes the Bronco defender back into the receiving player for the Broncos. And the ball hits the receiving player for the Broncos. It hits him on the arm or the hand or somewhere. And the Chargers recover. But wait a minute. I found out that rule. And that rule states this, that if a receiving player is calling a fair catch, you cannot, as a defender coming down the field, you cannot push an opponent back into the receiver. He has a fair catch. That means fair. That means you cannot touch him. You can't push a guy into him. You cannot touch him yourself in any way, shape, or form. You can't do it. Charger player did. Do you think there was a flag thrown? Nope. Not one single flag was thrown and should have been thrown. And here's the problem I have. And I mentioned this on the show last night on MHRT Neighborhood. I mentioned this. How come there is not one opportunity to throw a red flag on a questionable penalty? Let's say it's pass interference and you don't think it's pass interference. You throw the flag. What if you see, like it happened last night, Dolic's face mask was ripped like this around his head after he made the catch. A referee is 3 yards in front of him. And he doesn't call it? Dolic made the catch. Yes, it was a great catch and a good catch, and it counted. But there should have been 15 yards added onto the play. But there wasn't. Because the referee refused to throw the flag on a blatant face mask. Yet, when the Bronco had a face mask and just barely turned, boom, out comes the flag. Kind of looks like it was one-sided for the what the refs were doing. They were calling more penalties on Denver and hardly any on the Chargers, and yet they were blatant. The face mask on Dolic was blatant and not called. And then pushing a defender back into a guy who's called a fair catch. How can it be a fair catch if he's not allowed to catch it? He's being pushed in. He's being obstructed. That is just like as if the guy coming down the field for the Chargers ran into him himself. Referee refused to throw the flag. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Denver should have had that ball and had the opportunity to go down and kick the winning field goal. Nope. Ball goes to the Chargers. 3 plays later, boom, field goal. Broncos lose 19-16. It should never have happened. And if you look at this team with all the injuries and all the mistakes and all the penalties and all the blown calls and all the mismanagement of the clock and horrible coaching in general, do you realize we could be 5-1? We could. We could be 5-1. But reality says we're 2-4. Okay. We're 2-4. Does that mean we're going to get better? I don't know. I've got some other information to bring you guys, so I'm not sure. Anyways, does it sting to lose to the Chargers as much as I can't stand them? Absolutely it does. But Russell Wilson did look good in the first quarter. He was 10 for 10 for 120 some odd yards and a touchdown. He looked really good. But halfway through the second quarter, like I said earlier, everything changed. All right, guys, I move on. All right, let's go to the defense. Let me get these things arranged. Sorry, guys. Let's go to the defense. The defense was solid once again. They're the reason why the Broncos are in any of these games. Absolutely the only reason why they're in any of these games. Justin Herbert, threw 57 times in last night's game. 57. And completed 37 of them. No touchdowns and 1 interception. And they win in overtime. Patrick Surtain was lights out, shut down again. Keenan Allen wasn't in the game. He's injured. But they had their second best receiver, Williams. And Patrick Surtain was on Williams. I think Williams was targeted 3 times, maybe 4. 1 catch. And I think it was for like 4 or 5 yards. Surtain is an absolute blanket. I mean, this guy is closer to receivers than the receiver's own skin. I mean, this guy is amazing. He is absolutely amazing. And that defense is locked down. Absolutely locked down. The problem is, and the only problem, or not the only, but main problem is that certain players on the defense continue to make penalties and cause the opposing team to get into field position, and that's what's killed us. We only gave up 1 touchdown last night. We didn't give up any touchdowns to the Colts. But our offense is inept as well, and I'll get to that too. But our defense is shut down. It's lights out. It's electric. It's on fire. Oh my gosh. Last night they were pressuring Herbert, making him hurry his throws. He was throwing over people's heads. He was throwing wide. He was throwing low. That was, again, the first quarter and a half. After that, things changed. I don't know why it changed or what happened. Obviously, the Chargers made adjustments, but Denver should have as well. The defense is solid, guys. We just need the offense to be just as solid. And I'm not quite sure that's going to happen anytime soon this year. I wanted to. Absolutely, I wanted to. I'm just not sure it's going to. All right, I move on. Speaking of the offense, the offensive line is a problem child for this team. Russell Wilson did not have a good offensive line in Seattle. And it seems like he doesn't really have a good one here in Denver. And I'll get into that. Yes, I know we have injuries, but Wilson was sacked 4 times. And the middle of the line was porous at best. There were guys that were blitzing. Now, Russell Wilson's in a shotgun. Nobody is back there with him. He is all alone. And you've got Charger players, middle linebackers, darting up front, kind of baiting him to say, hey, are you going to believe we're going to blitz? Or do you think we're going to blitz? Or do you think we're just going to pull back or what? And Wilson doesn't audible out. He doesn't call over a tight end and say, hey, come on back. I need you back here to block. That guy's a Mike or whatever they call it. Does Wilson do that? No, he doesn't do that. Instead, goes with the play, hikes the ball, and here comes this free runner, linebacker safety. Linebacker safety, comes shooting right through the middle. Nobody touches him. And Wilson is dropped for 9 or 10 yard loss. No chance whatsoever. Deer in the headlight look by Wilson going, we go. Yeah, I would too if I saw a big old guy coming at me. But the problem is the offensive line is not picking up the blocks. And if they're bringing a free runner, why don't you have a tight end back there? Why don't you call a timeout and go over and talk over the play? Why doesn't Wilson check out of that? Why doesn't he audible out? What is going on? Is Wilson not able to check out? Is he not able to check down to call a different play? I mean, does he have to stick to what Hackett's calling? Holy smokes. And it didn't happen just once. It happened several times. Several times there was a free runner. The left side of Russell Wilson on the left edge was getting blown up all night long. Wilson was running out of the pocket and scrambling. However, when he was running out of pocket and scrambling, he was throwing the ball perfectly and on target. He's not that tall, guys. He's maybe 5'11", 6 foot. It's kind of hard to see over some of those linemen. So he's better equipped to run out of the pocket. But when the Chargers held him in the pocket and pinned him in the pocket and wouldn't let him get out, there were sacks. There were hurries. There were pressures. The offensive line is porous at best. And that is not going to get it done. And Russell Wilson is going to get slammed. And he's going to get injured. I'll get to that in a minute. All right. Speaking of injuries. Continues, guys. It absolutely continues. We're in week 6. And here is the 5th ACL tear for a player out for the season. For the 5th time this year, a player goes down for the season. Backup linebacker and special teams player DeAndre Carter suffered a torn ACL after he collided with a Chargers staff member and landed awkwardly on his left leg. Yeah, I saw that last night during our broadcast. And as soon as I saw him come down there on that left leg and he rolled over on his back, he immediately grabbed his left knee. And I went, uh-oh. That is not good at all. Absolutely not good. And usually you don't grab your left knee unless something tears or strain or you dislocate your knee or something. So I knew something bad had happened. And I found out today it's a torn ACL. And he's the 5th player on the Denver Broncos this season. And we're only in week 6 to be done for the season with a torn ACL. I cannot remember any time in previous Bronco seasons and teams that have had this many injuries and this many torn ACLs. I mean, back in the day, if you got one, you're like, wow, where'd that come from? A torn ACL? Holy smokes. That hardly ever happens. Not today. Not this year. And definitely not for the Denver Broncos. 5 torn ACLs with 5 different players. And one of them had an LCL, and that was Devontae Williams. My goodness. Is this ever going to stop? Are the Broncos ever going to field their number one team offense, and number one team defense, and number one team special teams ever? Not this season, it's not. Man, alive. I mean, you might as well trot out retired players or guys off the street and say, hey, man, can you come play? Because we ain't got nobody. Well, we may not have Russell Wilson. What'd you say? Hey, Bronco Bill, what'd you say? That's right, guys. I said we may not have Russell Wilson. Here's his new injury. If his injured lat, and that's that, I can't pronounce the name. It's a name about that long, but it's a muscle that's up here and it comes down through underneath your armpit and then down along your side, and it curls around towards the middle of your back and down to your waist. That entire muscle was strained or a slight tear. So if his injured lat on his right shoulder wasn't bad enough, during a scramble in the 4th quarter, Wilson suffered a strained hamstring. That's right, guys. Strained hamstring. The MRI didn't show a tear, but he's listed day to day. Denver plays on a short week. Remember, they played last night, not Sunday. Denver plays on a short week in 6 days at home to the New York Jets. strained hamstring. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, it happened in the fourth quarter, and he played the rest of the fourth quarter and all of overtime. But he only completed, I think it was he threw 11 times in the I think it was 11 times in the overtime, completed 3 for a total of 15 yards. What? Only 15 yards in the entire overtime? Yeah, that's it. And it looked like he couldn't move or didn't want to move. Now we know why. He couldn't scramble. He couldn't get out of the pocket because his hamstring was injured. He strained it. How severely? I don't know. But when you're day-to-day, especially on a short week, guess who's taking the number 1 reps? That's right. Rypien. Brett Rypien. That's right. He's the one that is taking the number 1 snaps. And he should. We're playing the Jets. He should have been doing this against the Colts. But that's neither here nor there because that's 2 games ago. But he's a healthy Rypien. He only had 1 start. I think it was last year. But he only had 1 start. And it was against the Jets. Ironically, he beat the Jets. And that's who the Broncos are playing this Sunday. However, Hackett is the head coach. And he's still calling the plays. Now, I don't know if Rypien's going to have the availability to audible. He should. He should have the availability to audible. And I would love to see Rypien just let it loose. What's he got to lose? Rypien has nothing to lose and everything to gain. Because if the Broncos can beat the Jets, then Russell Wilson can keep rehabbing and keep getting better, and that shoulder can get better, and hopefully his hamstring gets better. Because after the Jets, they go to a neutral site in London to play the Jaguars. And Rypien can start that game. Wilson can stay home and rest, get his injuries healed, and then following the London game, there's a bye week. So it is a perfect time to have Russell Wilson rest. Perfect time. Because Rypien can play against the Jets. He's well abreast of the Jets. He can make it happen. And the Jaguars is in London, like I said, a neutral site. So he should be able to take down. The defense is going to be solid in both games. Don't get me wrong, guys. So all Rypien has to do is just manage the game and make smart moves and see wide open receivers. That's what he has to do. And if we can do that, guys, we can come away from this and be tied in our record 4 wins, 4 losses heading into the bye. Why not? Why can't that happen? If you guys think that Rypien can't do this, please tell me. Put it down in the comment lines. Put in the comment lines. I'll respond. I'll respond in kind. I'm not going to put anybody down. Those are your feelings. Those are your opinions, just like mine. But I feel that this is a perfect time for Russell Wilson to sit, not play. Whatsoever, don't play. Put in a healthy 100% Rypien. Let him play against the Jets. Let him play against the Jaguars in London. And then we hit the bye. So Russell Wilson, in essence, will get about 3 to 3.5 weeks of rest of what he needs, especially for that lap. They say it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. Well, there you go. That's the perfect scenario. So, excuse me. Hello, Hackett. Are you listening to me? Because if you aren't, you should. Sit Russell Wilson down. Period. Now. Don't let him play against the Jets. Don't let him play against Jaguars. And let him come back in week 10. It's my thought, guys. Just my thoughts. All right. Let's go to Primetime Black Friday. Say what? Wait a minute. That's got to be a misprint, right? Primetime is Thursday. And Black Friday is Friday. Yep. That's exactly what's going to happen. Not this year. Not this Thanksgiving. But starting in 2023, the 2023 season, Amazon Prime will have a game on Black Friday. This Friday after Thanksgiving will be the first ever NFL game of its kind. The NFL has never played a game on Friday after Thanksgiving. Never done it, never has. But enter Amazon Prime, and because they always broadcast on Thursday, they're moving it to Friday. I think it's brilliant. Absolutely think it's brilliant. The NFL knows how to market its product. Absolutely they do. 100%. So you got the morning game, which is usually the Detroit game at home. You got the morning game. Then you've got the afternoon game, which is usually always the Cowboys at home. And then you have an evening game, which is like a flex game. It's whatever game they want to put in there. And then now, starting next year, 2023 season, Amazon Prime is going to have their game on Friday. So you've got 3 games on Thursday, 1 game on Friday. You got the Sunday games, and then you got the Monday. Is that brilliant or what? Come on, man. You've got to love it. I know I do. I absolutely know I do. Because now it affords my team, the Denver Broncos, to be in a prime time either Thanksgiving Day or Friday afterwards or Monday or Sunday night. 4 chances. Anytime you can have prime time, it's better. It's better to have more times than not. And I mean, Denver's got 5 of them this year. And actually there's like 7 because we got Christmas Day against the Rams and we have the London game against the Jaguars. So in essence, we have 7 prime times this season. Not too sure we're going to have that next season based on how we're playing this year, but you know, it's still great for the NFL. It's great for the fans. It's great for the cities. It's great for the teams. I think it's absolutely marvelous and spectacular and brilliant that the NFL is doing this with Amazon Prime starting next season. All right, guys, let's get to the last segment of the show, and that is the New York Jets at the Denver Broncos this Sunday, Denver, Colorado. The 4-2 Jets come to Denver, who is 2-4. The all of a sudden high-powered New York Jets with a record of 4-2 are coming to the 2-4 Denver Broncos in Denver this Sunday. New York is coming off a solid performance at no, there's no way they played there, right? Yeah, that's what it says. Coming off a solid performance at Green Bay with a score of 27-10. What? Wait a minute. Jets beat the Packers 27-10? Yep. Exactly right. At Lambeau Field in harsh fan base Green Bay. 27-10. Where did this team come from? Denver, meanwhile, lost in overtime for the second straight game, 19-16, to the Chargers that I mentioned earlier. This Jet team is not the same Jet team we've seen in years past. They have a brand new head coach, and this guy is let me rephrase that. This team is believing in this head coach and his system and their gameplay. This team is solid. It is tough team. And if Denver thinks that it's the same old Jet team, you know, they're nobody really. Oh, think again. Think again. They're 4-2. They beat the Packers last week 27-10 in Green Bay. Yeah, this team is for real. But I still say you put in Rippon. You don't put in Russell Wilson. I don't care if he says, "Oh, let me gut it out. Let me go in there and be the man." No, Hackett, you need to create excuse me. You need to grow some, you know what? And you need to say no. You're sitting until after the bye week. Done deal. Come on, man. Have a little bit of Gary Kubiak in you. Have a little bit of intestinal fortitude. Have a little bit of a resemblance of being a head coach. Because right now it doesn't look like it. And I don't want to see Russell Wilson out there against the Jets. I don't. And if that happens, all you're doing, Hackett, is aggravating a situation that is constantly getting worse. Gameplay, play calling, execution, injuries, a lat, and now a hamstring. And you want to put Russell Wilson out there because you can't tell him no. Is that what you're telling me? That you can't say no to Russell Wilson? Well, if you can't say no to Russell Wilson, maybe George Payton can say no to you in regards to no, you're not continuing as our head coach. We need some type of leadership here. And if you're not the guy to provide that leadership, then we need to move on. And no, I'm not really in favor of a guy losing their job anytime, especially during the middle of the season. But I don't want to see us go 2 and 15. I don't want to see that either. I'd rather see us go, 8 and 9. I mean, not that I want that either, but it doesn't look like we're going to go on any kind of winning streak to go, 15 and 2, or 13 and 4. That doesn't look right either. Not the way this team's playing. So, Russell, sit down, rest, get healthy. We'll put Rippon in there. And when you're 100% healthy, you can come back. Until then, I know, guys, people have said to me in many comments and texts and all this kind of stuff, well, you got a $245 billion guy back there. You can't just sit him on the bench. Why not? Why not? You rather have damaged goods? You rather throw him out there to the wolves, so to speak, and then make it a career ending and you still got to pay him? No, rest him. We did that with Peyton Manning in 2015. We can do it again in 2022 with Russell Wilson. That's what I say needs to happen. And if I see Russell Wilson out there this Sunday, I've lost all remaining confidence in this head coach and this Russell Wilson wanting to gut it out because it's Russell Wilson and he doesn't want to sit down and he doesn't want to admit he's got injuries, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. What I do care is the health of Russell Wilson so we can have him down the stretch. These are 2 best games for Rippon to come in and play. Absolutely back-to-back games. For him to come in to play is the absolute best scenario. We got the Jets at home and Jaguars in a neutral site. It could not be a better time. And then a bye after that could not be a better time for Russell Wilson to sit, get healthy, come back, and go strong starting in week 10. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have not, please do so. I really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. If you like this show, please pass it on. I greatly appreciate it. Before I head out, guys, let me remind you of some shows that are on the MHRT network. I'm also affiliated with that, so please check those out. We'd really appreciate it as well. On Sunday is the, no, I take it back. Sunday's a Bronco game, but we're not doing anything now. I'm sorry. Monday is the Cluster Puck podcast, and it features Nick and Britt. They break down the Colorado Avalanche past games as well as the upcoming games. They got a lot of great insight, and it's a great show. Don't miss it. It goes live 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Tuesday is the 5280 podcast. That features Madungus Creevy, his really good friend Glenn Hauser, Cam, and Boggins. That goes live every Tuesday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Wednesday, it's the Wild Wild West. That features a fan from every AFC West team, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. That goes live every Wednesday, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30. And then on Friday, I go live for the very first time on Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT network. I go live this coming Friday, the 21st. I go live 5, 6, 7, and 8. Don't miss it, guys. It's going to be fun. And I'll be in there. I'll be taking your comments. I'll be in the chat room. I'll be commenting on those comments that you put up. any questions and whatnot. We're just going to have a really fun time, guys. So please tune into that on Friday. And then on the following Tuesday, I'll be back for Broncos Breakdown on my channel on the YouTube. And hopefully the Broncos can get a win this coming Sunday. Till then, guys, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We will talk to you on Friday on the MHRT Network and on Tuesday on my channel, YouTube. Till then, take care, guys.